Welcome, Bhagavad Gita sadhaks. That is, those who are doing a sadhana or a dedicated practice to learning about Bhagavad Gita and especially its core teaching of Samatvam, developing equanimity. I've been noticing a couple things. We are getting close to half a year, almost 180 days. I'd be curious to hear if you noticed any changes in your equanimity. You can leave some comments. I'm noticing slight changes. I definitely need a lot more work, especially when it relates to high pressure situations or to when I'm hungry, which we're going to talk about today. Not me being hungry necessarily specifically, but in general, for our reflection on the nuances of samatvam, of being essentially yourself, we're going to revisit chapter 3, verse 34. And yesterday we looked at this as to how it applies to you in relation to the world. And so, as a reminder, that verse is attraction and repulsion, for sense objects live in the senses. One should not be controlled by them, for those two are one's enemies. Oh, we mentioned yesterday is our perceptions of the world are greatly colored by our sense organs. And we observed, things coming into the senses. And basically, what is our judgment telling us about those things coming into our senses? And how is that affecting our perception of life and the way we act in life and our ability to be ourselves in life? Let's turn it around. We've been doing this for the past few verses, because this can be tremendously helpful in daily life, I think. So if it means that our perceptions of the world are generally based on our attraction and repulsion, our judgment, and we're not really paying attention to the thing itself so much because we are under the sway of our senses so much, then how other people perceive you is the same thing. Somebody else is perceiving you generally through their senses, right? Especially if they just meet you, they're sizing you up. Unless they have very clear vision that's looking deeper to see, or to try to see the deeper you. So if you rely on other people's sensory impressions of you, those are inaccurate, and you may buy into them as accurate. For example, if you're young and a parent tells you you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, you're that, or schoolmates tell you that, or siblings tell you that, or anybody tells you that, they're not seeing you accurately if they're looking through the senses. And the last bit of this verse is so important, because then if somebody says mean things to us, they may become our enemy. But what Krishna is trying to say here to all of us is, it's not necessarily that that person is your enemy. Their sense perceptions of you are the enemy. They are suffering from this misperception at least as much as you are, and perhaps more. So it's not them that's the enemy, it's the faulty perception. This can lead to a lot of increased sense of peace. Especially, for example, if we can find ideas of how we do this. To give you an idea of one way the meaning of this verse really became clear to me was years ago. I was working with a teacher training program, and I'd have to listen to the recordings of yoga teacher trainees. And I started noticing a pattern. If I listened to a recording before lunch, I would go, oh my gosh, this person is so cranky and mean and short, and their rhythm is off, and this and that. But I had occasion a couple of times to go back. I missed something, so I had to listen to it after lunch. And then when I listened after lunch, I went, now wait a minute. Their voice is fine. They're doing things correctly. They're going at a proper pace. And this happened a couple of times. I realized, oh my gosh, it's not them, it's me. And I have to really remember to apply this in life. I think I'm getting better. When I'm hungry, for example, the world looks totally different to me. And my perception of you, even if I'm looking through my senses, would be different. Whereas after lunch, man, we could probably be best friends for life. Or after dinner. Dinner is even better. And if I'm doing that to people, they're doing that to me, I'm sure. And I've actually made it a point to study up on this. It is better to interact with people after lunch than before lunch. There was a study done on judges, and judges would give stiffer penalties right before lunch than right after lunch. This was a study that looked at different judges. And even Judge Judy, if you ever watch her, says this. It's like, it's almost lunch. Let's hurry up. Okay. So others' perceptions of you are affected by their senses. Thing one is don't buy into that. Try to find people who see through to the real you and listen to what they have to say. Or better yet, see yourself truly and listen to what you have to say about yourself. And thing two is remember, it's not necessarily the people who are your enemies, but their perceptions. Having worked with people experiencing mental disorders, I can tell you that, the misperceptions can cause so much fear, so much anxiety, and so much miscommunication. So let's keep that in mind, shall we, as we practice. Balance poses are great for helping us come back to balance, still our minds, and see more clearly with our deeper seeing rather than just our physical organs. Here we go. Switch. All righty. Now, with our minds perhaps settled by a balanced pose, let's spend the next 5 minutes. Reflect on maybe something someone's told you about how they think you are. It could be recently, it could be in the past. And can you really notice if that's an accurate perception or if it's based on their flawed sense of your reality? Let's do that for 5. Woo! What a restless day for me today. How was it for you? I always enjoy knowing. And again, you can leave comments, or some of you email or text me, and that's wonderful as well. And if you ever do look below, you might notice it's coming up on the summer solstice. And for the past several days, sunrise has been at the same time. That's how I can tell we're getting close. 5:51, 5:51, 5:51, 5:51. The nights are, or the days are getting a little longer on the other end, but wow, almost half a year. Anyway, today's practice is dedicated to all the fathers out there, because in the States it is Father's Day. Whether you are a father of a child, a father in other ways to other beings, I salute you. And also, happy birthday to Zan's mother. Yay! May you have just a day, just a day, whatever day you need to have. And we'll check in tomorrow. Until then.